So hi, I'm Chris Wise, and I'm here with Karen Sweet. And this week's Wise About Flower Mound, we're going to be talking about exchange students. She's with Northwest Student Exchange. So Karen, how the heck did you even get started with exchange students?
Well, first, Chris, thank you so much for having me here and for your platform that spotlights businesses and nonprofit organizations in the Flower Mound area. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
How did I get started? Well, I got started back in 2012 through our church organization. They were looking for host families for college students to be a friendship family for students that were here and that wanted to experience an American family off campus. So we kind of started that way and tiptoed into it. And then the following summer, my son saw a sign for summer exchange students. So we did it for a summer. And then after moving here to Texas, my son wanted to host again. And then we committed to the academic year. And so about 3 years ago, I decided to take on the role of an area coordinator here in the DFW Metroplex area. And we just have such a passion for it. We've had such a great and positive experience with all our students. We're still connected with all of our international students around the world today. And that's all my kids know. You know, they're very welcoming of whoever comes in our home from another country because they're just so used to being around it.
That is so great. It's an amazing program. So let's say that I wanted to become a host family. So what do I do? What's in it for me? I guess that sounded really bad. Not that what's in it for me, but I mean, what could we expect and how do we start that process?
Sure. So of course, you know, that's the key word, exchange. So cultural exchange, it's a two-way street. You know, there's the exchange student has a reason why they want to come on exchange, and then the host family, you know, everyone has a reason why they might choose to host.
Okay. So
first of all, for the host family, we say, you know, you're gonna gain an international son or daughter. Also, you're going to gain a lot of perspective on how you see your daily life. You know, we are so used to living our daily lives and so busy that a student kind of stops and makes you see things through a different lens. And that's a really neat experience. You're also your student when they do get here. We encourage them to get involved in school, and so you're going to kind of be exposed to other activities with your kids that your exchange students that you might not have been exposed to before. Mm-hmm. So if your student joins band, well, maybe now you've got a whole new appearance through band. So it's they're kind of great community connector. I kind of call them intercultural assets to the community.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and as far as in school, same thing. In the school system, they have a really big impact in the high schools. They have an impact on these students, their American friends, the teachers, the faculty. I have a Japanese girl. She says, every day, Miss Karen, my U.S. history teacher is asking me something about Japan. Yeah. So they really do, just because they are an international student, they spark conversation. And that's what we want to do. You know, they help get involved. They want to get involved in community. We do a lot of volunteering. We bring them to volunteer events. A lot of our international students, all they know about the U.S. is what they see on TV. Like what they see in movies.
Dallas. In the old days when we said, you know, when people watched Dallas all around the world, they thought that that's just how we all were. That's funny.
So it's what they see on Netflix or YouTube. So, you know, really to get them to be integrated into our lives and our communities. I mean, that's the goal of cultural exchange. It's to help create awareness and perspectives and acceptance. And so that's what I love so much about the program is that, you know, these students really want to come. They work hard to be accepted into our program. Mm-hmm. And you know, they've got to get letters of recommendations from their teachers. And, you know, it's a little bit of a they've got to step outside of their comfort zone, but they really want to do it because they do want to come and experience this and be an asset to where they are in their host family.
Right. So as a host family, I'm responsible, I'm assuming, for feeding, clothing, all of that kind of stuff. Is there any other things that I should be aware of?
Yeah. And let's go over that, because that's a great kind of myth buster question. I think people have objections about, oh, well, why I can't host or why I might not make a great host family. But host families come in all shapes and sizes. So you don't have to have a student in high school. You can be an empty nester. You can be a grandparent. You can be a single. And we ask the host families to provide just a loving, caring home environment, a bedroom, which can be shared with a sibling of the same gender, 3 meals a day, like you're mentioning, and then transportation to and from school. Okay. But the student, they come with their own medical travel insurance. They come with their own spending money. They come with their own phones and laptops. So they're responsible for all of those expenses, as well as, anything personal they want to do. If they want to go shopping, they want to buy souvenirs, if they want to join band, any of those kind of extra types of school expenses, they're responsible for that.
Okay.
And really they, they just want to be able to help out in the home too. So it's like they don't want to be treated like a guest. They want to be part of the family. So, if there's chores to do, they want to help with chores. They want to really bond with their family and be a part of their family.
Okay, so that's great. So you answered questions I didn't ask, because I was thinking about, empty nesters or something like that. Do you need to have a child that's the same gender, around the same age? So that's not a requirement. So that's good to know.
Yeah. And a lot of other things that, people might say, well, I need to speak a foreign language. And that's not true, the case at all.
Right.
A lot of the kids, they come here speaking English already. A lot of the European kids already start speaking English in elementary and middle school.
Okay.
A lot of the Asian kids, like a lot of our Japanese and Chinese students, they might start a little bit later, like later in middle school or high school, but they really, when they get here, they make up an effort. Like they really try super hard, and it doesn't take long to pick it up. It's the comprehension, but once they're immersed in it, they pick up the language pretty quickly. And a lot of times, if there are just little misfires, we as Americans, we use a lot of lingo. Yes. And if I say I'm running to the store and they look at you funny, it's like, is she really running to the store? So I always promote with my host families and my students is, if they look like they have a blank stare on their face, then you maybe just ask them again.
Now, if I said I was fixing to run to the store, then they'd really be confused.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's great.
So, the students, they come on an academic year. So they typically arrive in August. And we can place within a 2-hour radius of the DFW Metroplex.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Within the local ISD school systems. So once we find a family that's interested in hosting, of course, they have to fill out an online application. We do reference checks and vetting, of course. And then we check with the schools and make sure there's school availability, because they do have to have a school spot. And then we can go ahead and get all their paperwork processed. They do come on a J1 visa through the U.S. Department of State. And then they typically arrive about a week before school starts. And, they're ready to hit the ground. Our international students are super excited about U.S. schools, because their schools are so different. They don't get to choose electives. And when they come and they pick it, of course, our schools offer so many electives, like even more than probably when you and I went to high school. I mean, I'd like to go back high school. So that's something very new for them. Our high schools are very big, so we encourage them to join the club and find their group of people and make friends and get involved. So really try to get themselves integrated as quickly as possible.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. So are they, can they drive, or, do I provide a car? How does that work?
That's such a popular question. And the students ask me that all the time because, trying to get their driver's license here in the US is way cheaper than in their home countries.
Really?
Yeah. So, they are not allowed to drive the host family's car. They're not allowed to, drive in. We don't allow them to even do like ride share. They're able to carpool, with friends going to school. It's just like if your host mom gives you permission, then that's who you can go with.
Okay.
So typically they take the school bus or they'll walk, or I even say, hey, ride your bike.
Mm-hmm.
They do have to adjust quickly because, a lot of the kids that come from larger European cities, they're used to public transportation.
Yeah. We don't have that.
Yeah, they don't understand the soccer mom theme. But they adjust quickly to that. So.
Okay. Well, great. Yeah. So goodness, I'm just trying to think, is there anything that I haven't asked you that is a frequently asked question that you'd want to address?
Yeah. I would say kind of one of the other things that we, kind of talk about with the families, and just as far as really kind of you're being their support system for them. There is a little bit of cultural shock when they arrive. So helping them to get over the culture shock, and also encouraging them to try something new. We really try hard to match students and families with similar likes, hobbies, because, like anything, there's a commonality together, but also to try new things. Of course, just like they are teenagers, and I think we all forget, like American teens, international teens, they're all still teenagers. So they come in all varieties. Some are extroverted, some are introverted, some, some are a little combination of both. So really trying to help encourage them to do new things, make friends, because it is a little hard, especially going to our high schools, which can be very, very big.
Yeah, definitely. And then just thinking about being, missing home. And now I guess with FaceTime and some things that you can do with video, that helps, but still just to have that kind of that, oh my gosh, I'm here for another 8 months or whatever. And I'm going to miss my family.
Yeah. And they're very excited about the holidays, especially, from when Halloween starts to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I check in with my students every month and check in with the host families. I'm with them and throughout the whole course of the exchange. At Thanksgiving time, they'll say, Karen, I've never seen a whole turkey cooked. It's just, again, kind of these little perspectives, or gravy is new to them.
Yeah.
Never had gravy before. So it starts with Halloween and it goes all the way through, there are all of these new traditions, and they like to share their traditions as well. So I highly encourage them, share a new tradition with your host family, bake them a meal from, home, try a new recipe, a Czech recipe. My Japanese students are doing a lot of sushi for their families. So, German traditions around Christmas, with putting the candies in the shoes. I'm like, share those those traditions from your family with your host family,
Right.
and start something new with them. So, that's really the exchange part takes place. Mm-hmm.
So as a family, I mean, I know because I'm in Rotary, and so we always have a Rotary exchange student. And one of the things we were looking at when we were talking about possibly being a host family was, where are they coming from? And is that a place that we would want to go so that then we could go meet their family, after all this? So is that something that's common?
Yeah. So my exchange student from Spain, his name is Pablo. Actually, his family was German, and they had moved to Barcelona. Before they had kids, and then they had their kids there. But I always say, I said, if we lived in the same town, I think we'd be best friends. Like, we just have hit it off really well and stayed in touch. But yeah, so we have students, of course, from Europe, Germany, Spain, Czech Republic, France, Italy, Slovakia. And then we've got students, obviously, from Asia. We've got China, Japan. In South America, we've got Brazil, Chile. So really, we've got students from all over the world. And when our students do come on their cultural visa, at the end of the exchange, they when school is over, they do have a little bit of a window of time still on their visa. So sometimes the natural parent might come over, and they might say, okay, well, let's travel a bit and see the U.S. together. But many families have reconnected with, now the U.S. family goes abroad and visits.
Right.
And of course, the natural parents are so welcoming and so generous, and they want to reciprocate, hosting or having the family visit with them as well.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Yeah. So it just sounds like, just an incredible experience for everybody. I mean, even for the host family's kids, just to, see their world through, a foreign child's eyes, just thinking about, like you said, our traditions and things like that, and just high school. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So, well, that's exciting. Well, I have just enjoyed my time with you today, Karen, and, it's been very eye-opening about the possibility of doing, hosting an exchange student. And I think that more people, maybe people, like you said, rule it out because they're just not sure about the details, but it sounds like you've made it, quite easy. You have to be vetted, which of course, that's obvious. But, it sounds like that it would be something that more people might look into.
Yeah, it's been challenging this year. Obviously, on a normal year, we have about 250 students that come through our organization. In the DFW area, we typically place around 30 or so of those kids. But obviously, with the pandemic, we had about 50 postponed last year, about 80 canceled. And so, of course, now those students that postponed last year, they would like to come this year.
They're ready to come. Yeah.
On top of our normal amount of students. So we do have a great need for families and to participate in this cultural opportunity. It has been a little bit more challenging to get the word out, only because with schools being closed, the traditional routes of, going into classrooms and doing a presentation with the Spanish teacher or the German teacher, that's just not a possibility right now. So right now, getting the messaging out and getting the need for volunteer host families is really key, because obviously if we don't have a host family, then we don't have a school spot because they have to be hosted.
Definitely. And now's the right time to get those families all ready and vetted, and stuff. So that's great.
So we still have plenty of time. We still have a lot of great students. We have over 30 students that are on our available list right now that are waiting to be matched, again, from multiple countries that I mentioned previously. Lots of variety, a lot of talented teenagers. These kids come speaking multiple languages.
Wow.
I'm so impressed with them. they are stepping out of their comfort zone, and, you know, it's a big step for them, but they're willing to take it.
Yeah. Well, that's so great. Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to encourage anybody who is viewing this is to look up Northwest Student Exchange, and we've got the links posted in this, and certainly reach out to Karen, and would love to be able to get some host families for those students, plus the students that were coming from last year who couldn't come. That would be, you know, that would be really great. So Karen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. And
oh, thank you, Chris.
yeah. So, and once again, I'm Chris Wise, and I'm with Keller Williams, but I'm also with Wise About Flower Mound. So thank you so much for tuning in today.